I don't know if there was any one person that motivated me in my lifting career. I was kind of like inside my own head. You know, some people like to listen to music when they're training. I immediately turn around and walk out because I cannot hear myself think. I want total and absolute being inside my own head, not with Elvis Presley or somebody else.
Powerlifting, it's easy for me. Bo Moore, Tony Conyers. First two guys I ever saw. When I got back into the sport after I left the Army, I was at a meet in Pasco County, Pasco Power Team. I know Dave and those guys probably remember Gary Frank. That whole crew is there. Raw was not a powerlifting sport at the time. It was all about the gear. And Bugman, I think, was one of your last meets geared, right? And I saw Bo Moore talking to Tony Conyers, which for those who don't know, this is icons of the sport. Tony Conyers and Bo are just amazing. And I literally overheard the two of them debating the future of powerlifting. And Bo Moore, who, if you don't know Bo Moore, he's totaled 2,000 pounds like 20 times. He literally looked at Tony and said, the future's raw, people are getting injured, the gear, and I'm not picking on gear. I'm not picking on gear in any way, shape, or form. He said, but the future's raw. People are getting injured because the gear is getting so impressive that people are getting outside what they can handle. So if the gear fails, the failure is going to be nasty. And I literally went back out to my car and threw my Inzer shirt away and got back into Raw. From a standpoint of life in general, that's easy. It's my airborne unit, my first sergeant and captain were just amazing human beings. They're Rangers, studs, and that's who taught me. So, Jen, I don't know if you can answer that too. It's me for Jen.
Yeah. No, actually, it's that crusty old man back there. I got into powerlifting, 11 years ago now? And I first moved down here in 2003, August 2003. And my first meet was March 2004. And I went to a Gold's and was working out, minding my own business. Some guy comes up to me and goes, hey, you're pretty strong. Come over here. Okay. I come over here. Here, meet this guy. Okay. Train with us. Okay. Next thing I know, I'm in a competition and I fell in love with the sport. It's pretty much that easy. I had been lifting since I was 11, 12 at the Y, but never competing. It was always to help my other sports. I was a 3-sport athlete in high school. I went to college and played softball. So, I had always been an athlete, but the iron really was always my passion. I would get up in the morning, the Y would open at 6 a.m., I'd be there at 6 a.m., get in a training session, go to school, go to practice, and on my best days, I'd go back to the Y and get another training session. That to me was like the best. How messed up, I know. But I've always loved the iron. And when I met those guys, it was like serendipitous. I finally found my calling, my true sport. I always liked softball, I always liked soccer. Basketball I tolerated because I grew up in the Midwest and that's what you do in Indiana and Ohio, is you play basketball in the winter. I played basketball. So yeah, that's how I got into the sport is, hey, you're pretty good, come on over here. That was the start of that. Any other questions?
What did you, as a coach, on your athletes, specifically powerlifting? I know, for me personally in strongman, my first competition I did was I didn't want to zero in that. Right? Would you tell your powerlifters doing their first meet, try to just aim for 9 to 9 and stay conservative?
Absolutely.
Oh, I definitely want to do this.
I can answer it with one word. Absolutely.
2011, I get back my wife gets me back in sport. 2010, first meet back, I hit 567. Right, I'm the man. I don't know anything about sport. I was still leg pressing with all the plates back then, and you know what I mean. I didn't know any better. Right, I was still stupid, and thought it was cool to load up the plates. I'd have guys on top of it, moving it 4 inches, rapping. I was a retard. But anyway. But I go out to Vegas for Worlds. I qualified for Worlds, and I'm going to go out there. And an 80-year-old lifter came up to me and said, so you're the kid from Clearwater that's going to bench 600 today. Head just right. And I'm like, yeah, well, and he goes, what are you going to open? And I go, I don't know, about 565, 575, and maybe 585. And this 80-year-old man looks at me, and this is at breakfast. I had literally my hoodie. To get a picture, I got my hoodie on, my headphones in. I'm eating breakfast at the Golden Nugget by myself. And this guy saw as a lifter, had my belt over the chair. And he's like, well, that's the dumbest thing I've ever heard. And I was like, who are you, old man? You know, like, really? I'm the kid benching. You knew about me. And so I get on the platform. Vince was there. And I get on the platform, and my opening one, I don't know what I did wrong. I don't know. 585. By the way, I did 565 for a double in the warm-up room. Keep that in mind. 585 on the platform opener, I miss it. And I've been hitting about 610 in training without fail. 625 in some days. And so 585 I miss on the opener. On the second, him and I got a kind of a wonky handoff, and they took forever to give me a start command, 3-command lift. I missed it. That third lift, if I was betting again, I would have bet against the house against me. I had pucker factor 12. There was no chance. So 20 people in Vegas visiting, family, friends, right? I'm new back to the sport. Oh yeah, no. And I bombed out. So I go into the back, and I'm trying to keep from breaking stuff, right? And here's the 80-year-old man, true story. And he said, we all step on our pecker sometime. And he said, the answer is, how do you fix it? And he was polite about it. It wasn't, I told you so. It was very much, he said, and he followed with, you're really strong, but you're really stupid. Fix it, you got a great future. And so that to me, when I have a lifter who says, oh, I can do 365 any day of the week, you're opening 325. we're going to do that any day of the week on your second attempt, and we're going to let it rip on your third. But your opener is going to be your last warm-up. Your opener is going to be something you can always hit. And that way you can tell. And by the way, that's the reason they have you be their coach, is to walk them off the ledge. So keep them off of it. Don't let them do. Donnie's last meet, he was hell-bent to go 600. And I made him, what did you end up going, 585? And I said, go 585, go 585, go 5. And he nailed it. And now he gets to tell everyone, I'm an asshole for the next 6 months till he competes again. Or next week, till he breaks 600, and he's gonna. But he had never hit 585. It's your job as a coach to get as many white lights for your lifter as you can.
Keep them from being stupid. Because we do a whole bunch of stupid things and we have that adrenaline on. Always make a plan ahead of time with a clear thought. And stick to the plan. Because if you allow your emotions to take over a day of a meet, you're going to go, oh, but it felt like crap, I should drop it. Oh, that felt great, I should increase it.
Pass it up.
Or I should increase it. No, you stick to your plan, you look at what your numbers are going to give you that training has given you, and you stick to the plan and you hit the plan. Worst case scenario is you leave 5 pounds on each lift. Okay, yeah, you could have totaled 15 pounds more, but those are unicorn meets where you actually hit 9 for 9 and do a personal best and do your actual maxes. They just don't happen very often. I've done it once. I went 9 for 10, I think, yeah. And got, well, 2 all-time world records, squat and total. So that just doesn't happen. And unfortunately, I'm still trying to beat that meet now, a year later, and I still haven't bettered myself. Because that was a unicorn. And if you play your cards right, that can happen. You can hit your true maxes and not leave very much on the platform. Go 9 for 9. But if anything goes a little wrong, if you get a little forward in the squat or the deadlift, or you get a crappy handoff, or you didn't hear the judge say press and you had to get a double press command because you didn't hear it, or you jumped the press, or any one of the little things that can go wrong, then you just wasted one of your attempts, and there goes that 9 for 9. So just be smart about it. That's why you have coaches, is to keep you from doing dumb stuff. And listen to them. Have a plan. Stick to it.
Plus, if you have a financial interest in your athletes, in other words, they pay you money, take a cue from drug dealers. Keep them wanting more, right? My point to that is, you have a guy go to a meet and he goes 4 for 9, and he or she doesn't do very well. their love for the sport is not going to be what it was when you get them an 8 for 9 meet or a 9 for 9 meet, and they get to go, I had so much more in me. Because the story, I went 9 for 9, I hit 315 on bench, and I have no doubt I had 335, but Rich wouldn't let me. It just tells way better than, man, I just missed 335. And they're gonna come back for more. And again, it's if you want them to love the sport the way that we all do, and strength sports in general, it's a better way to do it. So. Anything else?
When you're benching 600 pounds now, to add, I'm assuming it takes you a year to add 15 pounds to that, or 20 pounds to
5 pounds.
So at some point in that process, like when did you go from you doing the math? Like at some point you're a 300-pound bencher, and now you're a 600-pound bencher. Does that happen over 20 years, or is there a point in time where you can escalate that exponentially, and then you hit a level where it really slows down?
Fred, tell it for a 1,000-pound squat.
And that's for all of them.
And then I'll do it for bench press.
Everybody's different. A lot depends upon your coaching, if you've got good coaching, or your eating habits, of course, training habits. But you know what? Most of all, it has to do with you finally learning yourself, who you are, how you react to your training, and that little exercise we did of climbing into the back of your head. You've got to learn how to do that. That was perhaps the single most important element in my lifting career, was when I finally learned how to get there.
So did that lead to an enormous leap in
Yeah, enormous. Enormous. You know, 1,000 is enormous.
Well, at some point, like 600 is enormous, and 300 is super high. So at some point, you know, like if you're only gaining 10 pounds a year,
I'll take a shot.
Doesn't that go back to that gap you were talking about?
Yeah, but see,
There's a point of diminishing return.
right. Well, and again, look, Joe, it sounds sexy to sit up here and say, I bench 600, he squats 1,000, she deadlifts 4. What you don't see is Jenn crying, and I don't think Jenn will be mad at me saying this, crying coming off a deadlift platform because she's pissed off because she missed 395, 385 in training.
375.
370, yeah.
375, and I'm going, I hit 370 last week and it flew up, and now I can't even budge 375 off the ground, and I punch the wall and I get all upset.
When we talk about limit strength, right, and we talk about F-max, there's so many more factors and variables that come in to actually be able to do it. And so then to say, I'm gonna do it on Saturday at 10:30 a.m. after I've weighed in, that's why when you see a lifter hit a world record, a lot of regular people, and by regular people I mean people who even go to the gym and work out, don't understand that you're asking your body to absolutely respond at its most optimal and peak performance at a moment that you've chosen, not your body. See, if I told a lifter I'm gonna give you 10 weeks and I want you to PR over that 10-week period, they would have a far better shot than when I tell them I need you to PR on Saturday at 10:30, not 10:30 because now there's another flight of lifters and we messed your warm-up up and you didn't get to poop before the lift, but just suck that up, and you rewrapped your legs too early, and all this comes into factor. Now, as far as in my training, I got to 600 relatively fast, and then I got injured, and then I got back to 600, and then I got injured, and then I got back to 600, and I got injured. When you're hitting your upper levels, it gets harder and harder to improve. So the training becomes smarter. Jenn said it earlier. You can do a ton of variation work, because for me to bench press now, there's no work on setting up. I can set up in my sleep, blindfolded. I can visualize it. I can see it. I know it feels right. For me now, it's trying to do it the best I can so that I can optimize it for the platform. Very different than a young lifter trying to go from 200 to 300. I need rep after rep after rep. I used to have written on the board here, Google's never squatted 700 pounds. Because what you'll find with your young lifters today, and no, by the way, no offense to anybody who's 25, right? They've come from a generation that believes I can be as smart and as good at something by researching it. There's so much information on the net today that they can watch Dan Green videos and watch Jeremy Hornster videos and watch Jenn Rottsinger videos and watch Fred do 1,000, and they can somehow transfer that data into them. The truth with iron is your squat gets that way by feeling that bar on your back thousands of times. My bench got that way from pressing literally thousands of times. And one of the tools as a coach that we tell people is if I get a young lifter, I can teach them proper technique somewhere around 1,000 reps. 1,000, give or take. To fix bad form takes 5,000 reps. So if I can teach that lifter right out the gate, which by the way, for me, I was a bench specialist forever, becoming a squat, when I decided to bite off, my first full power meet, I benched 589 and I squatted 367. You heard it right, I didn't get that backwards. I think I deadlifted like 425 that meet. And then the next one I deadlifted 4 something and squatted 4 something and benched 589. And
I have never seen anybody so bad in squatting.
Somebody that can squat almost 800 pounds.
Oh, I'm a horrible squatter. I've got just under 8 squat on the books at Raw Unity, not an easy meet, and I'm the worst squatter in this room, I have no doubt, bar none. But that's part of the beauty of it. You keep challenging yourself to get better, so. Anything else?
Show us the KS push-ups now.
Yeah, Vince, grab a band. Sucks to be Vince.
Sucks to be family.
Come on, man.
Yeah, sort of. Kind of, sort of. So you would normally have your feet higher. I mean, I guess I can take it lower to make Vince's life. No, I can't. Yeah, sure. Let's go with that. What's that? You're okay with that? All right. It gives you the idea. You typically want your feet parallel or above, right? So that is a chaos push-up. You see why the total body tightness becomes real important real fast.
You probably do that with 2 TRXs.
Yeah, that's the biggest band I got.
TRX is like
TRX.
Oh, I'm sorry, the TRX ropes, the Navy SEAL ropes. Yeah, those. I don't know if you know that or not. That's where TRX came from. Oh, of course, okay, of course. So, yeah, that would be great. Rings are a phenomenal chaos push-up tool. I can dip 3-4 plates easy here. I get on a ring, I get humbled real fast. So, with no rings. That's chaos push-up.
They didn't come from the Navy SEALs.
The TRX?
Came from gymnasts doing ring work.
Well, a SEAL patented things.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
Excellent question.
Yes, Donnie.
Thank you. This is for the entire panel here. I have a good friend of mine who y'all know probably Elliot Halls, and he told me one thing that stuck with me real good. Success in the gym, 9 times out of 10 equals success in life. If you have the fortitude and the dedication to put into your body like this, that'll most likely carry over to your professional and personal life. But do you guys agree with that? Any disagreements, whatever? What do you take your take on that?
Shall I do this? It's called passion, folks. That's what he's talking about. It's called passion. It's not commitment to excellence. It's utter disdain for anything less. It's not endless hours of practice. It's perfect practice. And it's not your ability to cope. Instead, it's the total domination of everything you ever do in life. It's not setting goals, because goals almost always prescribe performance limits. It's not doing what it takes to win. Instead, it's a burning commitment to do what no one has ever done before or ever will do again. It's not need to achieve. Instead, it's doing what it takes to exceed the bounds of mere convention. And it's not the force of skill or muscle. Rather, it's the irrepressible sometimes explosive force of will. Now, if you believe in and practice these things, then winning is neither everything nor the only thing, as Vince Lombardi once claimed. If you believe in and practice these things, winning is a foregone conclusion. But if along the way you stumble and profit from that experience, but then vow by the power of Almighty God, it'll never happen again.
Rich? I'll give it to Jen first.
Oh, come on. You're going to have me follow that up? Yes? Is that a... I think that the iron can teach you skills that you can use in the rest of your life. I mean, personal relationships aside, especially in like career or school or financial stability, things like that, it takes a certain amount of determination and being willpower to be able to stay on point with your diet, to make yourself go to the gym even though you're the only one there. You really don't want to. Man, I'd rather be drinking out with my friends, or man, I have this party to go to, or I can't go to this party because I have to train tomorrow morning. We make sacrifices to be the best. And that's what it takes to sacrifice. But there's always balance, but you have to realize what you're giving up. You know, when you buy a soda or a water or whatever in a vending machine and you give your $1.50 for your little bottle of water, you're going, okay, I want that bottle of water more than I want my $1.50. That's simple economics. Same is true with gym. I want that world record more than I want that drink at the bar. I want that world record more. This is more important to me. I'm willing to put more energy, more time into it than I am this. And that's what it takes for any type of success, whether it be your career or the gym or whatever. You're going to have to make sacrifices that you're comfortable with, and sometimes ones that you're not, in order to succeed. And I think you can learn that under the pressure of the iron.
Wow, that's 2 in a row that are really good. For me, it's different. For me, the gym is so I don't go to the bar. I'm under the bar, so I don't go to a bar. I have been successful in my life twice. The first time I was successful by most people's concepts of the term. I made $250,000 a year, $1,000 a month car allowances. Life was good. I was cheating on my wife. I was drinking like a fish. And I lost the gym, because the gym was always like Jen. I trained 10, 11 years old, I fell in love with the iron. In an airborne unit, running 5 miles every morning, I'd go to the gym after, I'd go to the gym during, and then somewhere along the way when I got successful, I lost the gym. I got fat, real fat, like obese fat, and didn't have any comfort in myself. And by the way, I can be big and fat or big and strong. I was in an airborne unit running 10 miles a day, 7-minute and under miles, 245 pounds with a 36-inch waist. I ain't ever gonna be skinny unless I lose a leg in a wood chipper accident. But for me, the second time around, and I still wouldn't be skinny, I'd be fat with one leg. But for me, the second time around, and I've been very blessed that the power that I look to, you have your own, gave me a second chance, and then I have a beautiful wife and a beautiful son, and I have a successful business other than the gym here, and I got a great gym. And the iron grounds me. The iron is how I keep from going to jail when I want to cut somebody off in traffic. It's how I keep from getting drunk. That's just me. You know, a little different than Jen. It's not for world records for me. I'm not the best in the world. These two have been the best in the world, or are currently the best in the world. I'm not. I'm strong. I'm decent at what I do. But for me, it's about finding something better. And this keeps me successful everywhere else because I'm not at a bar. I don't have that excuse. I don't go to happy hour because I got to go train. And so my training for me is a fundamental driver for the rest of my success. It's not Jen. She's trying to break the all-time world record. I'm trying to stay successful. So it's a different driver for me.
I know these guys personally, everyone personally here. Jen is a very successful microbiologist. Fred Hatfield, well, he drove up in that Range Rover right there, so that says a lot about Fred there. And Rich is a very successful businessman. I know those three persons, so I kind of a loaded question. I want to kind of see their view on it. I think it does radiate back. People who are successful in the gym tend to be successful in their personal.
I will caveat though, don't think the gym's the only thing going. I don't know how many people here get paid. I mean, 99.9% of strength athletes are not getting paid for what we do. And by the way, being sponsored by a t-shirt company is not getting paid. It doesn't pay your mortgage. It just doesn't. So, and being, and again, you make sacrifices, but you got to find that fine line, like Jenn said. So.
All right, here I go, stepping off the edge again into an area that I rarely talk about. It has to do with competition. I'm listening to these two people talking up here today. Not one time did any of them ever talk about beating the other guy. Winning, as I said earlier, ought to be a foregone conclusion to you. Depends on what your definition of winning is. I never competed a day in my life. I lifted weights. There were other people on the platform, but I wasn't competing with them. They never laid a hand on me, and I never laid a hand on them. If they were trying to beat me, I didn't know it, but I certainly wasn't trying to beat them. I had my hands full with the iron. I never competed. Don't want to compete. Don't want to say I beat that guy. Don't ever want to do that. So maybe it's just a perspective that somebody ought to think about every once in a while. And by the way, it's the same way in ethical business practice as well.
Now, if you like that, you're going to really like this, the 7 worst testosterone killers. It's a free report just for you. Enter your email, and we can send you that free report. Now, if you're on a mobile device and can't click that box, check the video description below, that top link, criticalbench.com/bonus-video. That's the link you want to click so we can send you that free report. Be sure to subscribe to our channel, like this video, and leave some comments or questions for us. Thank you so much, and we'll see you soon.